A lot of students are also using video conferencing apps now as their classes shift online. Zoom is one of them. It's seen a huge rise in its user numbers. In fact, it's been downloaded more than 50 million times on just the Google App Store in the past few weeks. Governments have also started using it too, and as the US-produced software gains popularity, the company is now facing questions over its privacy. It's even been accused of passing information about its users on to Facebook. Let's talk about this with Adrian Mars, IT consultant and technology journalist on Skype from London. Nice to see you, Adrian. We should point out that G20 virtual meetings and top-level government communications are not happening on Zoom. They obviously have their own secure lines. But the British government has said, yes, we're using it as their intergovernment communicating tool. In your opinion, is it quote-unquote safe?
I think it's a bit worrying. We're getting mixed messages from government. The Ministry of Defence have said to their people in the UK, don't use Zoom while we investigate. The National Cyber Security Centre, a different arm of government, said, hey, it's safe as long as it's not used for really high-level secret stuff. I'm sure the government have some extra layers of security on top. Their networks will be to some extent, one would hope, insulated from the outside world, and there'll be tools to monitor where data is going. But I think it is a bit of a worry. It has a poor security record. So quite a few months back, the Mac version of Zoom, security researchers discovered a flaw that allowed anybody to pick up video and audio from a Zoom account, and they took months to fix it. And that's a terribly bad sign. All software has security flaws. All you can really go on is how well the manufacturers handle it.
Right.
And in this case, they were terrible.
I also noticed on Zoom, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you can be invited to join a Zoom meeting and you get an email from the invitee and you click it and it takes you straight through. You don't even necessarily have to have downloaded the app or have an account with them. That doesn't sound, in my very simple mind, that secure.
Yeah, there's a similar flaw where hackers were randomly generating Zoom meeting IDs using a bit of software and just seeing if that meeting existed, so they could drop into meetings at random. They fixed that, and I would urge people who are using Zoom to set a password for their meetings, so that will prevent that sort of flaw from being exploited. I'd also urge people, if they're using a desktop computer with a plug-in webcam, when you're not using the webcam, unplug it. If you're using a laptop, cover up the webcam with a piece of tape, and just as important, stick a dummy plug, like a plug cut off an old pair of headphones, into the microphone socket, and that will disable the built-in microphone inside the laptop. And it's not just Zoom. When computers are exploited, hackers will often listen and record what's going on the webcam and the video, whatever software you're using.
Yeah, I mean, that's just good advice at any time, I think, isn't it? More generally, I mean, obviously, VoIP, Voice over Internet Protocol programs are being used so much more right now. Does it follow then that there will be a strain on them, that there will be service outages just because they are so popular at the moment and bandwidth is being stretched?
I think the general sign is that for most providers, at least from a UK perspective, is that bandwidth isn't being stretched. They've got lots of capacity. People are using more bandwidth, but that actually most providers have more than enough. It's absolutely fine. We're more seeing problems at the server end of things. So the internet itself, the connections are fine, but some people's servers, these things that live in huge data centers in big sheds around the world, are being stretched. So the UK version of Microsoft's cloud services called Azure, that's having a bit of capacity problems at the moment. Some people are reducing the quality of their video conferencing services to reduce strain on services. You're seeing some websites take a bit longer. Obviously, things like home shopping and stuff are completely under total onslaught, and people are putting in queuing systems and all sorts of things. But on the whole, actually, the internet itself is coping remarkably well. It's really quite heartening. I should have said, by the way, another worry about Zoom is that a large portion of its development is done in China.
Right.
And That's always a concern. It's not just a concern over Zoom. It's a concern for, we've seen the Huawei controversies. There's been a lot of controversy in the past about the security of Lenovo laptops, for example. And to be fair, Western governments and Middle Eastern governments, if they try and sneaky little spy systems into their commercial software as well. Really, it's down to people to make a judgment as to how they trust one nationality over another nationality.
And just to take, as you pointed out, take your own security steps anyway. Adrian Mars, always a pleasure, and nice to see you without a bookshelf behind you, something a little different for our viewers. Take care, Adrian.
My techie workshop. Bye.
Wonderful.